Hooray, a new kind of video, an audio file with photos and occasional bits of video. The reason the video is in this style is because it is long overdue and I thought this would be a faster way to upload the video because it allows me to read a script without it being obvious on the video feed.
Except for the moments when I'm actually on camera.
Take it or leave it, guys. Before I start the video, if I mispronounce any words or names, feel free to comment below the proper pronunciation. Hey guys, how are you? Here to deliver my level of anticipation for the films coming out in June that I decided to feature. This list has been divided into 3 sections, those being least anticipated, unsure about, and most anticipated. Heads up, even though these films have already been released, I will be saying what I initially thought about them after hearing of them and or watching their marketing materials for the first time. I will be kicking off with least anticipated, which consists of categories dreading, skeptical about, and not interested in. I'm going to start off with not interested in and build it from there. Kicking off the category is Action Point, a comedy inspired by the infamous Action Park, directed by Tim Kirkby, script written by John Altshuler and Dave Krinsky, and story written by Altshuler, Krinsky, Johnny Knoxville, Derek Frieda, and Mike Judge. Released on June 1st, Knoxville serves additional duties as one of the producers and the main star, once again fully committing to over-the-top stunts and injuring himself, except this time it is not a Jackass film. The only connection this has to Jackass is that it's scripted like Bad Grandpa. I have not seen the Jackass TV series or films, and the trailer didn't work for me. The makeup on Old Man Knoxville looks pretty good, but at best I only got a few chuckles out of the trailer. Honestly, I think having the stunts in a scripted setting just isn't as chaotic as intended, as it lacks the genuine reactions from the cast and crew, thus making it feel less spontaneous and more calculated. And the last thing you want the audience to do is wait for the inevitable because they already know the punchline far in advance. Also, I feel that Knoxville's trademark is starting to show its age and restrictions. Seriously, how much more of this can his body take? And how many creative ideas for stunts remain? Also, I'm still debating whether basing the titular location on Action Park is smarter and sensitive. Maybe I can enjoy it as a guilty pleasure, but that will have to wait until I view it on home media. The next film is Gotti, a biopic following mobster John Gotti during his reign as boss of the Gambino crime family, along with his son John Jr. A. Gotti as acting boss. Released on June 15th, it is the newest film from MoviePass's subsidiary MoviePass Ventures, who is sharing distribution rights with Burgle Entertainment, and it's directed by Kevin Connolly, written by Lem Dobbs and Leo Rossi, and stars John Travolta, Kelly Preston, Stacey Keach, Brewer Taylor Vince, Spencer Lofranco, William DeMeo, and Rossi.
It's also Travolta's newest passion project. Yeesh.
This film's reception has been nothing but negative, and MoviePass reportedly provided 40% of its opening weekend revenue. Has history repeated itself? Considering the project was in development hell for around 5 years, took nearly 8 years to be released, saw the departure of directors Barry Levinson, Nick Cassavetes, and Joe Johnston, along with stars Al Pacino, Lindsay Lohan, Ben Foster, Joe Pesci, and Chaz Palminteri, it's rather fitting. Not helping was that original distributor Lionsgate planned to release it on demand, then eventually dropped it, and it has 4 producers, 1 producer in the New York unit, 4 co-producers, 3 associate producers, 1 line producer, 2 production executives, and 29 executive producers, all of which equals 44 producers. My god. The negative response is the shit icing on the moldy cake, keeping off my watch list, unfortunately. If I do watch it, hopefully it at least gives me occasional unintentional enjoyment like Battlefield Earth did. Moving into skeptical about, the next film is Adrift, released on June 1st. The film was a biopic about couple Tammy Oldham and Richard Sharp, who in 1983, while sailing from Tahiti to San Diego, ended up directly in Hurricane Raymond, resulting in Sharp, who was controlling the boat on deck, losing his life, and Oldham, who was in the cabin, surviving and having to change course to Hawaii. She successfully managed to survive for 41 days out at sea before being rescued, and wrote the memoir Red Sky and Morning, a true story of love, loss, and survival at sea with Susie McGearhart, which the film is said to be based off. The film was directed by Baltazar Kormaker, written by Aaron and Jordan Candle and David Branson Smith, and stars Shailene Woodley and Sam Claflin. While I am glad that this story is being adapted to the screen, the trailer leaves me concerned. The concern in question being keeping Richard around during the survival section as more than likely a figment of Tammy's imagination or as a result of her head injury. I understand why this choice was made, but I feel that it takes away the chance for Woodley to truly put her talents to the test by playing the survival aspect solo. Considering audience pleas for strong, independent women, and that the approach successfully paid off for Robert Redford in All Is Lost, why not take a chance on her? She's a big name in the young adult crowd and has received 2 Golden Globe nominations, so it's not like it's as big of a risk as granting the task to a newcomer. Not to mention I'm currently debating whether or not keeping Richard a presence in the survival section is disrespectful to the man himself. I really don't like financially beneficial decisions being made when biopics are produced, but hopefully the film respects and does justice to the story. Next up is Ocean's 8, a female-centric spin-off of Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's trilogy, directed by Gary Ross, script written by him and Olivia Milch, story written by Ross, and released on June 8th. Fitting. The titular 8 consists of Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, Anne Hathaway, Mindy Kaling, Sarah Paulson, Awkwafina, Rihanna, and Helena Bonham Carter. Additional players include, but are not limited to, Richard Armitage, James Corden, and Dakota Fanning. Sadly, even Soderbergh as one of the producers fails to get my hopes up. I've only seen the Ocean's 11 remake and really liked it, and from what I remember of that film and Ocean's 8's first trailer, they seem far too similar to the point where it feels like copy and paste. First off, I love this cast, even though I have concerns regarding Rihanna due to her Razzie win for Battleship. And Gary Ross has won me over with Pleasantville, Big, and The Hunger Games, but I can't escape the feeling of detrimental familiarity and possible rehashing. Just because it's a gender swap doesn't stop you from adding other new elements to the series. Even though I didn't ask for this, hopefully at the very least I can enjoy it. Next is, brace yourselves, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the sequel to the box office smash Jurassic World, released on June 22nd, written by Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly, and directed this time by J.A. Bayona. Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, B.D. Wong, and Jeff Goldblum, in a cameo, return, and are accompanied by series newcomers Raffi Spall, Justice Smith, Daniela Pineda, James Cromwell, Toby Jones, Ted Levine, and Geraldine Chaplin. I like Jurassic World, and I had initial hopes since I am a fan of J.A. Bayona, but all of that withered away once I saw the first and second trailer. I stayed far away from the final trailer. The film looks like a retread of The Lost World, which I wasn't a fan of, and Justice Smith has me beyond concerned. Comic relief characters have really become a pet peeve for me in recent years, and the last thing I need is another comic relief character that validates my thoughts. Also, why are they bringing the dinosaurs to the mainland when Isla Sorna, I think, still exists in this franchise's universe? And why the hell are they using another genetically modified dinosaur as a secondary antagonist? I honestly wonder if this planned trilogy is running low on or is completely out of ideas and is using its self-referential nature to get away with blatant rehashing. Also, I'm afraid the attempts at tackling animal rights and the ethics of genetic science will ring hollow. I would love to be proven wrong, but I don't see that happening, and I am sad that the day has come where I actually am hesitant towards watching a J.A. Bayona film despite being a big fan of The Impossible and A Monster Calls. Have yet to see The Orphanage. Hopefully it's at least decent, but the reviews are not helping me at all. Now on to Dreading, with the opening film being Tag, Jeff Tomsik's directorial debut, and a comedy based on a true story, not surprised, of a group of grown men who spend 1 month playing a game of tag. The film, from a script written by Rob McKittrick and Mark Styling from Story by Styling, sees Ed Helms, John Hamm, Jake Johnson, and Hamill Buress attempt to tag Jeremy Renner, who has never been tagged, before he officially retires following his wedding. Also lending their talents to the film are Isla Fisher, Annabelle Wallace, Leslie Bibb, Sebastian Maniscalco, Thomas Middleditch, and Lil Rel Howery. I hated the first trailer, and I am getting tired of trailers having to emphasize that this stuff actually is inspired by real life because the people behind these films and marketing materials have never accessed the internet before. Seriously, it's a cesspool of people who lack basic common sense or functionality. Also, the trailer was full of my most hated mainstream comedy cliches: overused slow motion, cringe-worthy exaggerated expressions, stunts that the characters shrug off instead of ending up severely injured or dead, and jokes that were dead on arrival. Also, I swear the first trailer's opening joke is out of context because I did not understand it in the slightest. If anything, the trailer wasn't littered with reference jokes. Also, I feel the exaggeration of the stunts draws the line between playfulness and douchebaggery, and one thing's for sure, mainstream comedies love to fail at crafting lovable douchebags. Stop trying to be The Hangover, you cannot recreate it. Even the sequels couldn't. Maybe I'm taking it too seriously, but because the film seems to be littered with these things, it's hard not to use your brain because there is very little distracting you from the monotony of it all. Follow that with the underlying theme of friendship, and you have most likely lost me with the attempts at heart, like most, if not all, bad mainstream comedies. A huge ensemble cast alone can't save a film from blending in with the rest of the crowd with pure ease. I honestly wish I could stop going after mainstream comedies, but until they improve, nothing will change. All I can do is hope this isn't The Next Patient. And closing out Dreading in the least anticipated section altogether is Uncle Drew, a sports comedy based on a series of Pepsi Max ads starring Boston Celtics point guard Kyrie Irving as the titular character, released on June 29th. Irving also wrote and directed the ads Chapter 1 to Chapter 4, but those duties are now being handled by director Charles Stone III and writer Jay Longino. Starring alongside Irving are Lil Rel Howery, Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Webber, Nate Robinson, Lisa Leslie, Erica Ashe, Tiffany Haddish, Nick Kroll, JB Smoove, Mike Epps, and Aaron Gordon. I actually have watched Chapters 1 through 4, and they're a lot of fun, but they work because they're short and to the point. Chapter 4 is the longest at 6 minutes 58 seconds, 5 minutes 48 seconds if you exclude credits. The main problem with making this a feature film is that at 103 minutes, the central joke starts to wear thin pretty quickly. I also feel like there isn't that much of a backbone supporting the film because Chapters 1 through 4 did all that they needed to do very quickly, and the total length of all the videos combined is 23 minutes and 40 seconds. If it was a longer short film, that would be fine, but a feature film is where I draw the line. Adding to that, the two trailers failed to reassure me due to their reliance on not only the cliches utilized in the tag trailer, but also reference jokes, outdated stereotypes, and scenes of dancing that are only there to fill time. I'm not sure if my eyes are messing with me, but the makeup looks cheaper to me. It might be because the players and actors in makeup are in broad daylight while the ads use more limited, naturalistic light, but I can't confirm that. I only chuckled once and rolled my eyes the rest. I would love for the film to be the opposite of my expectations like Girls Trip last year, but any signs pointing to that haven't made themselves present yet. If there end up being any positive signs in the actual film, hopefully they at least outnumber the negative signs. The next category is unsure about, where I have no idea where to place my level of anticipation for a film, and decide to leave it at that because even when I come close to making a final decision, something sneaks in and causes me to revert back to square one. The film in question is Hotel Artemis, the feature directorial debut of Drew Pearce, who also wrote the film, released on June 8th. It stars Jodie Foster, Sterling K. Brown, Sofia Boutella, Jeff Goldblum, Brian Tyree Henry, Jenny Slate, Zachary Quinto, Charlie Day, Dave Bautista, and Kenneth Choi. Once the trailer started describing the location and its rules, I, and obviously many others, immediately started thinking of the Continental from the John Wick series, and thus the hesitancy kicked in. While the film sports a grainier look than the John Wick films, the fact that criminals make up at least the majority of the characters of the film also raises the concern of if I will be able to care about them. The trailer does have the line said by Sterling K. Brown to Brian Tyree Henry, "You're my brother, I love you," but it is very brief and there is no supporting context in the trailer that could give the dialogue its necessary emotional weight. I'm not against a grainier version of John Wick, but there's a reason why the main character in the series as a whole worked for me. Hopefully it's at least decent. Now on to most anticipated, the sections making it up being excited for, looking forward to, and interested in. Starting with interested in, we have American Animals, the first film distributed by MoviePass Ventures, sharing the rights with The Orchard, written and directed by Bart Layton, and released on June 1st. Starring Evan Peters, Barry Keoghan, Blake Jenner, Jared Abramson, Udo Kier, and Ann Down, the film is, as claimed by the trailer's text, "This is not based on a true story, this happened," already said what I needed to with tag, a recreation of the heist that took place at Transylvania University's library in 2004, led by 4 students that resulted in rare books worth millions being stolen and their eventual apprehension. Marketing grievance aside, the story is very intriguing, the young actors portraying the students have proven themselves as capable performers, the rest of the cast is also very talented, and Layton's documentary The Imposter received critical acclaim. While being interested in the project is better than being unsure or willingly distancing yourself from it, let's hope the film surpasses my expectations. Next is Damsel, a western comedy and the newest film from brothers David and Nathan Zellner, who serve as the writers and directors, while also producing the film with Chris Olsen, collaborating them once again after serving as one of the producers of their previous work, Kamiko, the Treasure Hunter. Released on June 22nd and starring Robert Pattinson, Mia Wasikowska, the Zellners, Robert Forster, and Joseph Belingier, the film follows Pattinson traveling across the American frontier on a miniature horse accompanied by David to locate and marry his fiancée Penelope, where the situation starts to unintentionally escalate. I found the trailer very funny, and I was surprised by how well shot it was and how strong the production values looked. It's nice to see that we are still getting westerns, and I am glad that this film is providing some variety, something that I've been wanting from the genre recently. Also, I'm glad that it's a straight comedy instead of a parody a la Blazing Saddles, and that Robert Pattinson is continuing to diversify his roles. The film looks very fun, and I hope it at least delivers on that front. Moving into looking forward to, released on June 8th, we have the documentary Won't You Be My Neighbor, an examination of the life and legacy of the late Fred Rogers, a Presbyterian minister best known for creating, composing the music for, and hosting the children's educational series Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I think we can agree this is a film we need considering how divided the US and the rest of the world is today. We just don't get enough films or documentaries about genuinely good people who dedicate all their time and effort to improving the lives of others. And who better to focus on than a man who has been treasured by the children and families that grew up watching him teach the young and hard valuable life lessons. The trailer put a smile on my face, and the near universal acclaim has me sold, so let's hope I can see this in a theater instead of at home. Next is the newest offering from director-co-writer Brett Halley and co-writer Mark Bosch, the musical comedy drama Hearts Beat Loud, released on June 8th. Their third collaboration stars Nick Offerman, Kiersey Clemens, Ted Danson, Sasha Lane, Blythe Danner, and Toni Collette, and centers around a record store owner and his daughter who become a sensation after uploading a song they recorded together on the internet. The trailer made me laugh, smile, and almost tear up, and if that's not a promising sign, I don't know what is. Everything I saw in the trailer has the makings of a true crowd pleaser, and Haley and Bosch's critical success with I'll See You in My Dreams and The Hero is more than enough to sell me. I've yet to see a film this year that has put a big fat smile on my face and actually make me feel good, so let's hope this one is up to the task. Rounding out the categories, Leave No Trace, released on June 29th, and the newest offering from Deborah Granick, directing from a script by her and Anne Rossellini. Adapted from Peter Rock's novel My Abandonment and starring Ben Foster, Thomasin McKenzie, Jeff Coburn, Dale Dickey, the film follows a father and daughter whose lives residing off the grid in an urban park drastically change once taken in by social services. I've been waiting nearly half a decade for the next feature from Granick since becoming a big fan of Winter's Bone after watching it back in 2014 or 2015, I forget too much, and I've also wanted to see a more serious role from Ben Foster since he garnered my attention Hell or High Water. Also, Thomasin McKenzie being declared the next Jennifer Lawrence by critics is very encouraging. Following up Winter's Bone, her acclaimed 2014 documentary Stray Dog is a tough call, but if Granick does succeed at convincing me her newest project is at least worthy of being part of her filmography, it only solidifies my belief that she's a talent worth supporting because she still has a lot to offer audiences. Now on to the final category excited for, with A24's widest release yet, the horror film Hereditary released on June 8th, and the feature debut of writer-director Ari Aster. Starring Toni Collette, Gabriel Byrne, Alex Wolff, Millie Shapiro, and Ann Dowd, the film sees the matriarch of the Graham family pass away, followed by her daughter unraveling and being haunted along with the rest of the family by their ancestors' dark secrets from their past. Once I heard A24 was the distributor, I was immediately sold. So far, I have yet to see A24 fail at horror, and the trailers and reviews were unnecessary but welcome reassurances. The trailer has stuck with me since I first watched it, especially the ending music. Also, it's another horror film generating scares through ideas instead of jump scares, so that's another reason to endorse it. You bet your ass I'm not missing this in the theater. The last thing I need is for not seeing A24's biggest release in the theater be one of my biggest regrets. My regrets are petty enough as it is. Hope you're ready to frighten me into a coma again, A24. Next is the Pixar sequel we have been demanding for 14 years, only to instead be bombarded by Cars sequels and a Monsters Inc. prequel. Incredibles 2, written and directed by Brad Bird. Released on June 15th, the film sees the return of the voices of Craig T. Nelson, Holly Hunter, Sarah Vowell, Samuel L. Jackson, Bird, Eli Fusil, archival recordings, Michael Bird, and John Ratzenberger, accompanied by newcomers Bob Odenkirk, Catherine Keener, Huck Milner, Sophia Bush, Phil Lamar, Jonathan Banks, Isabella Rossellini, Paul Eiding, Bill Wise, and Kimberly Adair Clark. Taking place directly after the ending of the first film, the sequel sees Helen Parr / Elastigirl / Mrs. Incredible being chosen by the company DefTech to take part in a campaign to legalize supers again and for good, while Bob / Mr. Incredible looks after the kids. However, things become more complicated when a villain known as Screenslaver enters the scene to prevent legislation from becoming a reality. To say I'm ecstatic is not enough. After 14 years and disappointing a handful of people, including me with Tomorrowland, it only made sense for Brad Bird to choose this as his next project. Better late than never. The Incredibles still is one of my favorite Pixar films, along with being one of my favorite animated films, my favorite animated superhero film, favorite superhero film not based on a comic book, and so far the only good Fantastic Four film. If that film isn't proof that 20th Cash and Fox should sell or share the rights with Marvel, I don't know what will. I prefer that over Disney buying Fox. Hashtag anti-legal monopoly. Moving on from that, Incredibles 2 shows so much promise from the stellar animation, use of color, and at least the majority of, the humor. The action looks great and the new additions to the cast are very talented, so give me it. Also, if the success of this film leads to more offerings from this franchise, like LEGO The Incredibles, I'm on board since this property had more franchise potential than any other Pixar property. I'm counting on you, Bird. And he finished off the entire list with Sicario Dia del Soldado, the sequel to Sicario, written once again by Taylor Sheridan, but this time directed by Stefano Sollima, edited by Matthew Newman, composed by Hildar Gudonato, and photographed by Darius Wolski. Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin reprised their roles with newcomers Isabella Moner, Catherine Keener, Jeffrey Donovan, Manuel Garcia Rolfo, and Matthew Modine lending their talents. This time, the CIA has discovered that the drug cartels are smuggling terrorists across the border and enlists Matt Graver and former operative Alejandro Galic to help eliminate the problem, deciding to kidnap the child of a kingpin to deliberately start a war between the cartels. However, things start to escalate once the operation takes place, putting the lives of the girl and Alejandro at risk. Sicario was outstanding, and Benicio del Toro's Gillick stood out without being very expressive or talkative. I had some reservations about them making a sequel and deciding to explore more of Gillick because sometimes leaving some mystery for the viewers is better than answering everything, but I decided to jump on board for one reason. Taylor Sheridan. Sheridan is one of my favorite writers working today, specifically for how he writes character, so I trust him to expand on Gillick and Graver. They may not be the original crew, but the newcomers have proven themselves as talents worthy of support, so hopefully the final product is worthy of the original. Also, if the third film happens, can Sheridan direct it because I really liked Wind River.
And that is the list. Comment below the films you're anticipating the least and most, the ones that leave you stumped, and everything in between. Thank you guys for watching. Until next video, see ya.
Next is the Pixar sequel we have been demanding for 14 years, only to instead be bombarded by Cars sequels and a Monsters Inc. prequel, Monsters Inc. 2. Damn it, why did I say that?